Welcome to the story behind the hymn with Faye Wheeler. This is Season 4, Episode 7.
Psalm 33:12, Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. For a century my country 'tis of thee was the most beloved unofficial anthem of the nation. While working on composing songs, Samuel Smith came across a Lutheran hymn called God Bless Our Native Land, which was set to the English melody of God Save the King. Smith was inspired by the song's connection between faith and patriotism and set out to write an American version, one with different lyrics but the same basic tune. While sitting in his sparsely furnished room, poring over the materials, he was struck by the words of God Save the Queen. I instantly felt the impulse to write a patriotic hymn of my own adapted to this tune. Picking up a scrap of paper which lay near me, I wrote at once, probably within half an hour, the hymn, America as it is now known. He was a 23-year-old student at this time of writing this hymn. A friend took a copy to the pastor of Boston's Congregational Church. There, My Country 'Tis of Thee was first presented by the juvenile choir at a Sunday school rally on July 4th, 1881, in Boston, Massachusetts. The song's popularity only grew from there, and it quickly became the unofficial national anthem of the United States. It would only narrowly lose the title of official anthem a century later, in a tight race that also included the song, America the Beautiful.
You are listening to The Story Behind the Hymn with Faye Wheeler. We'll be back after these brief messages.
Stories, interviews, music, news, mission. Stories, interviews, music, news, mission. Stories, interviews, music, news, mission. Aunt Betty's studio is producing stories, interviews, music, news, and mission messages. It is a new and exciting avenue for opening the gospel to Carson City and beyond. For all creative types, there are opportunities to get their projects out to the world. For all technical types, there are prospects for learning new skills and gear. For students, it solves the logistical issue of how to get community service hours. There is something for everyone. Aunt Betty's Studio is a ministry of First Presbyterian Church, Carson City. Stories, interviews, music, news, mission. You get it all from Aunt Betty's Studio.
Welcome back to The Story Behind the Hymn with Faye Wheeler.
On September 14th, 1814, Francis Scott Key penned a poem which was later set to music. In 1931, this song became America's national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. The poem, originally titled The Defense of Fort McHenry, was written after Key witnessed the Maryland fort being bombarded by the British during the War of 1812. Let me share the story. On a rainy September 13, 1814, British warships sent a downpour of shells and rockets onto Fort McHenry in Baltimore Harbor. The British relentlessly pounded the American fort for 25 hours. The bombardment, known as the Battle of Baltimore, came just weeks after the British had attacked Washington, D.C. There, the British had burnt the Capitol, the Treasury, and the president's house. It was another chapter in the ongoing War of 1812. A week before the Battle of Baltimore, Francis Scott Key, a 35-year-old American lawyer, boarded the flagship of the British fleet of the Chesapeake Bay in hopes of persuading the British to release a physician friend who had recently been arrested. Key's tactics were successful. However, because he and his companions had gained knowledge of the impending attack on Baltimore, the British did not let them go. They allowed the Americans to return to their own vessel, but continued guarding them. Under British scrutiny, Key watched on September 13th as the barrage of Fort McHenry began 8 miles away. Key later wrote, "It seemed as though nether earth had opened and was vomiting shot and shell in a sheet of fire and brimstone." When darkness arrived, Key could only see eruptions in the night sky. Given the scale of the attack, he was certain the British would win. The hours passed slowly. But in the clearing smoke of the dawn's early light on September 14th, he saw the American flag, not the British Union Jack, flying over the fort, announcing an American victory. Key put his thoughts on paper while still on board the ship, setting his words to the tune of a popular English song. He showed it to his brother-in-law, who promptly gave it to a printer, who ran off handbills for distribution on the streets. So was born the patriotic hymn that was to become our national anthem.
Thank you for listening to The Story Behind the Hymn with Faye Wheeler. This is a Presbypod production of Aunt Betty's Studios, a ministry of First Presbyterian Church, Carson City.